Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our October podcast. Family Matters PTIC has started launching podcasts as a way to reach more individuals and family members in Illinois, as well as professionals with key information about disability support and special education advocacy and navigation. The podcast brings the voice and experience of a variety of professionals and families to the table with a focus on exploring experiences, introducing best practices that are being implemented across the state, exploring services and support, and sharing the input and guidance of families. We try to post our podcast at least one time a month. And as a reminder, Family Matters is not a legal service, and we cannot provide legal advice or representation in any way. So, any information you receive from this podcast should not be construed as legal advice. Family Matters PTIC is one of the two federally funded parent training and information centers in Illinois. This contents of this podcast were developed under a grant from the U.S. Department of Education. However, those contents do not necessarily represent the policies of the U.S. Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement. We are launching this podcast with this particular topic today under our PACER grant, or our grant where um, we work with students in their transition stage of life, so 14 years and older. And I'm super, super excited to invite Kim today. Kim is part of the On TRACC program with E.I.A.S E, and E.I.A.S E stands for Eastern Illinois Area Special Education. So I am an E.I.A.S E parent. My kids live in the E.I.A.S E Cooperative, so I've been with E.I.A.S E 17 years now. We're going up on our 17th IEP this fall. So it's been a long time. So I'm super excited for Kim to be here today and share more information about the On TRACC program. So with having said that, I'm going to turn it over to her.
All right. Um, Thank you so much for having me on today, Abby. I'm really excited to share what we've been doing over here in the On Track program and kind of shed some light on what our program is for, who it's for, and what we do here. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Our program is called On Track. Track stands for Transition Readiness and Career Connections. And our program is designed for 18 to 22-year-old students. These students, we'll get into this a little bit more in a second, but these students are those who have an IEP. That's one of the main requirements. They have to absolutely have an IEP, and they have met their requirements for graduation, whether that be through earning their regular credits for school or if they were on a certificate of completion rather than a diploma track, then in that case they don't have to have credits. But we do like to point out that we do not offer credits for graduation. So if they don't have enough to graduate, they're not going to get them with us. So they have to have already completed that portion of high school. So we have a continuum of transition support through E.I.A.S E. We've offered the Life Academy. Life Academy is primarily for students with intellectual disabilities or significant enough disabilities that they require more support than their homeschool can offer. So we have small class sizes there and quite a few support personnel throughout the building. So that's where our support level begins. And then we felt that there were students who maybe they started out needing that level of support, but they had gained enough skill that they could do more than that. They didn't need that much support, or those who stayed in district and were able to stay in their homeschool and receive classes in high school, but there was nothing for that group of students that was not ready to enter the real world yet and get paid positions out there or go to college. They're just not quite ready yet. But that Life Academy would be more than they needed. That would be just not the least restrictive environment for them. So we were trying to come up with something that would fill that gap that we were seeing in services. So looking at this here, our transition continuum of support, the full support for daily living and partial support for daily living, that's more our adult life academy. And then as you move into On Track, we provide instruction needed for work readiness or monitoring with and some support for work or college. And then once they receive, second. Once they don't need any support at all, they're ready, they've got a paid position and they don't need that help, or they're off in college and they don't need any more support, then they wouldn't require either services. So the basic requirements for entering into the On TRACC program, students need to have some independent living skills for their basic needs. We are not staffed enough to support the more intensive independent living skills like toileting, if there's severe behaviors, those kind of things. That we would not be the environment for that, because we don't have the staff support to that extent. So they need to be able to feed themselves, dress themselves, toilet themselves, that kind of thing. And then we provide training for public transportation. So in the beginning, they have support there we use Dial-A-Ride. And we support them in that. But the goal is to get them to the point where they no longer need support. So if that's never going to be appropriate for a student, then this would probably not be the right location for them. If having them go on public transportation independently down with after training is not in the cards, then again, this is probably not the right site. And then, as mentioned earlier, they need to have enough credits to graduate high school. And then with training, they need to eventually be able to navigate a school building independently. So if we say, I need you to go down to the first floor and get something, they need to be able to do that. Or when they arrive from the bus, once we've taught them where our classroom is, they need to be able to come in and just come to the classroom without support. And then finally, and this is probably one of the most important qualifications, they need to be working towards competitive employment. Now, it doesn't mean they're ready to have it now, or on the other hand, working towards going to college. So it needs to be one of the two. If their goal is to work in a competitive employment setting, so they're getting paid and they either have maybe supported employment, but hopefully not even that. Hopefully we're working towards just total independent employment, then this is the right site. But if going to an adult agency like CCAR, HRC, CSS, those all day adult agencies we have, if that's the goal, then this is probably not the right site, because we're working towards that competitive employment goal.
Can I ask a question real fast, Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah, so coming back to your enough credits to graduate. So what about for our students whose path is not a high school diploma, but instead a certificate of completion? Would they qualify?
Yes, absolutely. We have students that did not receive a typical or will not receive a typical diploma. They're getting a certificate of completion. So in their case, we just say you have to be 18 at least. So we don't take anybody under 18, but you do not have to be on that diploma track in high school. That is not a requirement. If you are on that diploma track, and your short credits, we don't offer them. So we want to make sure they come in with them so that they can still get that diploma.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to point out, so for a family that may be starting out the transition plan, thinking about the future, which you should start doing very early on, these are some great goals to put in place with your transition plan to make sure your student is familiar with the public transportation system. This is something we did with our daughter very early on because she's not comfortable with driving. And the same with the independent living skills. We made sure she could shower independently, pick out her clothes every day, toilet. So these are some really good examples of transition goals to put in that transition plan at age 14.
Absolutely. And if you are focusing on these things at 14 and you're building those skills, now you have even more kind of background as to why a program like this would be appropriate. Because hey, at 14 we started working on this stuff, and now we're 18 and we got it. We've got the independent living skills down that we needed, and we're ready for that next step. So it really supports you in showing what this is the track that we're on. This is what we want, and you've got goals set every step of the way so you can get there. Okay, so moving on to why did we develop this program? Well, first of all, we noticed the gap in services, so that was one reason. But looking at the data, if you're like me and you're a data nerd, um, looking at the data, there's black and white reason why we needed something more for this group of students. So the indicator 14 data is something we collect after a student officially exits school. So they've either received their diploma or their certificate, they're no longer in school. And then it's possible that that student or their parents will be contacted down the road to see, are they working? Are they going to an adult agency? Are, where are they now? What are they doing now? And that is just to collect all of that data and see how our students with disabilities are faring out in the world after they left school. And that data did not look great. So we assessed it for all of the counties that E.I.S.E serves, and 77% of the students did not attend any type of post-school education, including community college, trade school, or job training program, and 26% were unemployed. And when you look at the percentage of students with the most significant needs and those who are unemployed, those numbers don't match up. So there is a big group of students in there who absolutely were appropriate for competitive employment and were not employed after school. So we were saying, okay, where's the breakdown happening? Why are these students not able to get jobs after they leave school? And that's kind of how we built the foundation of On TRACC. So On TRACC is there was two reasons we came up with that word track. One was because this is the path that we're taking. This is a track that we're taking to our post-secondary goals, but also because we have 3 tracks within our program that you can choose from. So the first track is through LIFT. LIFT, if you're not familiar with LIFT, LIFT is a career and tech ed program. It's facilitated by Mattoon High School. It's a part of Mattoon, but the students in the surrounding area in the other districts can come here, and this is for gen ed students and special ed students. They can come here and they can get instruction in culinary arts, construction trades. They have the early childhood program with an actual daycare in the building where the students can work with the babies and learn alongside the kids they're taking care of while they're getting the classes that they need on top of that. And I know I'm not covering everything that LIFT offers. It's quite a bit. And it's a wonderful program, but these classes are kind of high level. So a lot of them are building into a wider track at community college so that they can get certified in the area that they want to go into. But some of the classes also have more entry level instruction. So, for example, the culinary arts program, you can go as far in that as you want. If you simply want to learn how to cook and learn kitchen safety and get your food handler's license, you can do that. And then you don't have to keep going through all the way up to like kitchen manager and, the more complex levels. So, that's why we offer those kind of entry level options with LIFT to our students here. So we have 3 students actually who are taking that culinary arts class, and they've already received their food handler license, and they're learning to cook, and they're being able to use that out in the community when they go to their work site. And I'll get more into that later. So one of the track options is to take a class at LIFT, to take one of those certification classes. And if you were interested in that, you can go through the catalog of everything they offer, and we can match that up with what makes sense for your post-secondary goals. And then if they attend LIFT, that would be for 2 hours a day. Then the rest of the day, they are with me in the classroom where they're getting that actual, independent living skills instruction. And then they also work in the afternoon. Everybody goes to work in the afternoon. So that's one option. Then another option is Lakeland. So we even have a student this year who is taking classes at Lakeland. Now, not every student that comes here would necessarily be appropriate for taking classes at Lakeland, but we do have students who academically, that is absolutely appropriate. Taking the class is not the training that they need. The training they need from us is, how do I get to my class? What do I do in between classes? What do I do if my class is canceled? How do I organize my life so that I can make sure I get my homework done? So we provide that extra support for them so they can take 1 or 2 classes at Lakeland, and then we're there to make sure that they're figuring out all the little things you got to know in between. And our goal is to, a lot of students with disabilities drop out after the first semester because that organization skill just isn't there, or coping skills with changes. And so we're here to provide that support for a semester or two while they kind of take it slow at Lakeland. And then after that, hopefully they're ready to do their full-time classes and go on their way. So we have a student doing that. It's going really well. We provided that training to help her find her classes and help her find the lunchroom and those sort of things. And then we backed off, and now we just kind of monitor from a distance while the student is doing that. And then just like Lyft, when they're not at Lakeland, they're receiving that in-class instruction from us on independent living skills. We go to work, and we fill the rest of their day with the instruction to help them be ready for after they graduate. And then the last option, this one's available to all the students, but let's say Lyft isn't your thing. You don't want to take a class at Lyft, and you don't want to take a class at Lakeland. You just want to learn to work and learn to be independent. So in that case, you can just be in the classroom all day or the first half of the day and work the second half. So those students, they get a little bit more time learning some like cooking skills and domestics training. We work a lot on, in that extra time that we have, we work a lot on kitchen safety and home safety and responding to emergencies, banking and budgeting, and making grocery lists and that sort of thing. Those are things we do with all the students, but the students who only pick the work track, they get a little bit extra instruction in that area.
So, Kim, could a student start off in one area and maybe move to another one at a later time if they find different interest? So say maybe,
Absolutely.
start
So
off in
we
STEP,
make
finish
the
off.
transition at the semester. So that, in fact, I have an example of that. I have a student who is only in the work track right now, but she's expressed interest now that she's had time to kind of observe the early childhood program. She's interested in that early childhood program. So at the semester, just like any other high school class, we can get her enrolled in that class to start the semester. So she's going to switch over and start taking that. And we can evaluate that at the IEP meeting and make decisions, but we don't have to wait for that IEP meeting because I'm here with the kids the young adults every day. And, we can have these conversations ahead of an IEP meeting and say, you know what, after Christmas break, I want to jump in that class. Or the other way around, I've been in culinary arts for this whole semester and I've decided I actually hate cooking and I don't want to do that anymore. So then we can say, all right, we're going to, I encourage the students, let's finish out the semester. But then we're going to switch out of that into something else. So yes, we can absolutely make changes.
That's amazing. As a student who dropped out her first semester of college, this program would, as a student with a disability, this would have been really helpful back in the day.
Yeah. And then to go along with that Lakeland piece, we also work closely with the accommodations person at Lakeland to make sure that, whatever supports they can provide are in place. So we have that accommodations person attends the IEP meeting in the spring before we start On TRACC. And we go through everything. We do the tours, and we have all the extra things that all the things that any Lakeland student would need to do. But then we kind of have an extra level to it because we make sure that those, for one, are happening, because a lot of college students miss those. We make sure they're happening. Parents are involved, and we're in direct contact with accommodations so that if there is anything that they need or we need, that we can work together to make sure that happens. Okay, so then what we're teaching in the classroom, we work on independent living, resume writing, and that kind of happens as a whole group and individually as they work towards jobs. I had a student apply for a position last week. So, we hadn't gotten to the resume writing unit yet. And I'm like, well, guess who gets a crash course? And so we worked together on that. And she actually did an excellent job on coming up with what needs to go in her resume. So we do that. We work individually with the students on these things, and then we also have curriculum that covers them. Interview skills, student-led IEPs. Every student that is in this program will lead their own IEP to the best extent that they are able to. And we train really hard for that. So it's not just a matter of, hey, can you read these pages? We work on this all throughout the year. We've already been talking about, how do I talk about myself? How do I advocate for what I want? We talk, what are the different parts of the IEP? What is a transition plan? Some schools, cover that really well, and sometimes they haven't had time to go over that because the student was in gen ed classes. And so we spend a lot of time understanding our disability and our IEP. And then the next step is to be able to advocate for ourselves, talk about our strengths and weaknesses. And the students will be doing that. They'll be using technology to do that. And then at their IEP, the goal is to have their employer present if that's approved by the family and the student. We want employers there so that the employer can hear both sides of this and see where their employee is at, if possible. We want their instructors from Lyft there, if they're there, or Lakeland, or wherever it is. So we really build a team to support that student in whatever they're working towards, because the IEP team, we're all working towards the same thing. And it's these transition goals. And we want everybody who's a part of that to be at the table and to be able to provide feedback and help make sure the student is meeting their goals. So then job readiness and seeking skills, we look for the jobs and we practice applying for them over. They're probably getting tired of that because we've done a lot of practice applying for jobs, but we want to make sure we're ready to do that on our own. We do banking and budgeting, navigating the community college. We make sure that they have plenty of time to walk around and know where everything is, and we support them while they're doing that. We send a job coach out for that instruction. Workplace social skills, and this working on workplace social skills is probably the thing that we have spent more time on than I was maybe necessarily expecting in this first year, but it is a huge need. The social skills that we had at school are not, as developed as what you need at work. And not everybody understands that. So we have to work on these social skills a lot. And that's what our job coaching is for, is to help build that. And then understanding what is the housing market, and how do I get an apartment, and where do I look, and what's insurance, what are utilities. These are things that the student may not have had instruction in before. And so if your goal is to live independently, you have to know these things. So we work on that. And then a really big piece of the puzzle is self-advocacy, being able to say what you want, what you need, and being able to do it for safety reasons and for getting what you want to accomplish. So we work a lot on self-advocacy. My goal is that every student can go out into the public and tell you what an advocate is and what self-advocacy means, because we really want them to be able to do that. So one of the main curriculum that we use is called Next Up curriculum. So Next Up is an online video-based instruction, and you can do it in whatever pace you want. Like, I actually really, if there's any teachers out there watching that who teach transition, I really encourage you to look into this curriculum, because we spent 2 years looking for the very best of the best curriculum we could find in transition, and this is what we found. So I highly encourage people to look into this. But it has the built-in transition assessments. Every unit comes with a pre and post assessment, and what it's looking at is different independent living skills, social skills, and job readiness. Everything's high interest. There's TikTok videos that they make, that they embed into this. There's animated videos that the students, I think they're corny. I haven't had a student who has not laughed at them. They think they're hilarious. They must be really geared towards that age group, because I don't get it. But so the students enjoy watching these videos every day, but they really target the skills that they need to be developing. And then we have worksheets and extension activities that go with these. And this is something that we do every single day. We work on this next step curriculum, and then it's aligned to state standards. So it's a really good one that's targeting the things that not only we know they need, but also the state says they need. So it's a really good all around curriculum.
So, Kim, anyone that may be listening that's not within the easy counties that serves, um, is this next step curriculum something any professional could buy or parent to share with their student?
Yeah, so a parent could purchase it. I believe um, it's like $1,000 or $1,500 a sign in. So I don't see any reason a parent couldn't purchase it. Professionals that anybody can buy this. You pay per sign in, and then you can also, with your sign in comes all the students in the class. So I pay for my one sign in, and then I get all the kids. I can also assign them so they can log in and do their programming individually if they want. We do it as a group, but if you were a parent and you wanted to have your child do it just them, you totally could do that. So, a target student example, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably are formulating an idea of example students. If you're a teacher, you definitely are. If you're a parent, you may be saying, you may have the picture of your child and you're like, oh my gosh, I already know they fit this. Or not. Maybe it's the opposite. You're like, oh, this seems like this is too easy, too hard, whatever it may be. But the target student, just to kind of solidify that in your mind, is someone who, like we said, ready to graduate according to their credits, but not ready socially, emotionally, independent skills wise. They're ready on paper, but if we send them out into the world right now, it is not going to go well. They're not ready. So that's part of it. Maybe they have no job prospects. Maybe we do have students that come in with a job already. But what we find is the ones that we took in that already had a job, it wasn't going well. They were still lacking skills. So maybe they don't have a job, or it's not going well with their first job. They may not be ready to look for a job. They may not have those skills yet. You may just notice that they have lower functioning skills than their peers. So if they are in with their gen ed class, their same age peers, you may just see that, that maturity level is just not nearly where the rest of their peers are. And you're concerned that that's going to carry over into the next steps. Low social skills. I would say that's a really common theme, is our social skills just aren't where other 18, 19, 20-year-old students are. And that's going to be a factor when they try to get a job. It could be that they're really naive. They may be very vulnerable to be taken advantage of. Those definitely are characteristics that we see with the students. And then we definitely want them to have the potential to have gainful employment. They're just not there yet. But again, I hate to say this over and over again, but we have other options. If gainful employment is not the goal, we do have other options. So don't despair. We have other programs, but gainful employment needs to be the ultimate goal for that student. So how do you get in? It is not as easy as just saying, oh, I want to go, let's pay for that, let's go. There is more to it than that. So it is a tuition-based program that is paid for by the district. So the IEP team needs to meet to determine the placement. This has to be an IEP team decision. It has to be in their IEP that this is going to be their placement, because if it's not in their IEP, they cannot attend here. The transition specialist, which I am the transition specialist, attends the IEP meeting. If I'm not able to attend, then my boss would attend. But somebody from E.I.A.S.E needs to be there to talk about the program and to make sure that we're all on the same page. And then we help make sure that they meet those requirements that we discussed. And then if choosing Lyft is part of the plan, then we coordinate with Mattoon District to make sure that there's an opening in that class, and that it's appropriate for them. So there, some classes have prerequisites, some of them don't. I think most of them don't. But we just have to coordinate with Lyft on that to make sure it's appropriate. But this does have to, the district does have to sign off on this. So if you feel that this is appropriate, I would say start those conversations with your teacher right away, because we will have to meet with the district and make sure that everybody's on board, because the district pays tuition for this program. So just like if they were to go to a Life Academy or TLC, those are tuition based programs and the school district pays for those. It's the same kind of thing. And so what about graduation? This is a big question we get, because if you're having this conversation, that means we are about ready to graduate. And you may be concerned, like, well, they've been to school with the same class their whole life, they want to walk the stage with them. You absolutely can. You can walk in the ceremony with your peers. You just cannot officially receive that diploma. So when what you get when you walk across stage is not the real diploma anyway. They usually mail it like a week or two, couple weeks later. The student would not get that mailed to them yet. But as soon as they finish On TRACC, that's when they receive it. If the student were to start to attend and then for whatever reason stop and drop out of On TRACC, that diploma is still waiting for them because they've already earned it. So we won't withhold that or anything, but it's really important that every parent and district understands you cannot officially receive that diploma or certificate, or you can't come, because once you receive that officially, you're no longer in the school system and no one can send you to On TRACC. So that's really, we hit that really hard, because the last thing we want is somebody to accidentally graduate all the way and then not be able to come. So just make sure you're just doing the ceremony, but you are still a student. You're not officially out of school. And for just in case any parents listening were not aware, every student without an IEP has the right to attend school until they are 22. That doesn't mean every student needs to attend school until they're 22, but if continuing on is what is necessary to meet their transition goals, then that's what you can do. So if they're 19 and they have exhausted all of the things that would help them with their goals in their homeschool, but they're not meeting them yet, then that's when On TRACC would be appropriate to help them continue working towards that. I'm not sure that it was put anywhere in there. On TRACC is designed to be a 1 to 2 year program. So if you are certain that your 18-year-old child is going to need 4 years of school more, then we wouldn't want to start On TRACC yet. We would want to talk about what's appropriate in the meantime, because the goal is by the end of the first or second year, we have them in paid employment and they're ready to just carry that on after us. My goal is to have every single student have that job, so that I know that when they're no longer with me, they still have a job. They've got a job already, they're good to go, or college or whatever it may be. But it is intent. Now, if you came and you were here for 2 years and we're like, oh my gosh, they just need a little bit more, we can discuss that third year. I'm not saying absolutely not, but that's the intention of it, is to be 1 to 2 years.
And for any parent wanting to know more information about their student's right to walk at the graduation ceremony with their graduating class, we have lots of information about Brittany's Law on our website. So that's something that a journey that we've personally navigated. Our district was so supportive and wonderful about the entire process. Now, my oldest son has higher support needs and would not fit the program the program of On TRACC. So it's a little different for him, but they were wonderful about the whole process. So I've shared my story with that, and we have more information about that on our website for any parent wanting to know more information about the right to walk at graduation.
Absolutely. And so we kind of included this because this presentation was originally made to show to superintendents and kind of like, hey, send us your kids. But we wanted to explain why this is important for your community, because a lot of times these students that fit this category for On TRACC, if they don't receive that support, we're all small communities. In the entire E.I.A.S E co-op is small farm towns. That's what we are around here. We know that. And so what happens to a student who never receives any support after they leave school and they are not able to get a job or not able to keep a job? Well, they usually stay in their hometown. I mean, that's typical, or one nearby, and they're not able to really contribute, or and a lot of times they get in trouble. Now, I'm not trying to say that every student with a disability who doesn't work gets in trouble. That's absolutely not the case. But a lot of students who don't receive that support that they need, and they're not ready for the next step, that leaves them with very minimal options. And then what? And so we really hope that On TRACC boosts our communities by giving those students who may have ended up in their hometown but not working, and maybe not with a lot of perspectives, gives them what they need to be productive members of their community. And we want to build up our communities by having these students not only in their community, but they're productive members, and they're respected, and they're a part of it, and they're a sense of their own hometown community. So, oh, and there was one more thing that I forgot to mention about the community piece. If if there is, let's say you live in Shelbyville and you're coming to On TRACC in Mattoon, and we give you job support here in Mattoon, and you start off with that volunteer program. We start off all the students in volunteering while we work towards that paid employment, and we can monitor our volunteer sites a little tighter, so that we can make sure we've got all those skills that we need before we apply for a paid job. So if they're getting that work experience in Mattoon, but they live somewhere further away and transportation doesn't cross that county line, as we know how rural transportation is, county lines are a pain. We can start looking later down the road at jobs in your community. So we have a student who's applying for a job in his hometown, and then the idea is that the bus can drop them off on their way back instead of taking them home once or twice a week. Or maybe it might be appropriate that towards the end of the year, the student doesn't come to On TRACC one day a week, they just go straight to that work site. So we want, if working in Mattoon is not appropriate for that student, or Charleston, then we can start looking in your home area for positions that make sense for them, so that it's maintainable. Because the last thing we want is they're no longer in On TRACC and now they don't have a job anymore because they don't come to Mattoon. So we want this to be sustainable for every student, and we will start looking in your hometown once the time is appropriate. So if you want to learn any more, oh, did you have a question, Abby?
I did. So, as an employer in a town that is in the E.I.A.S E Cooperative, and we'll list those counties here in just a minute. I can't ever remember all of them. I'm always missing two. So, as an employer, if this is something I may be interested in for future employment, could I also reach out to you, Kim?
Oh, please, 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 please. That's one of the things we're working really hard on, is building our network. We're not always going to have a student for every employer, but if we have a network of employers that want to work with us, that is huge. Because then when I do get that Neoga student, this actually just happened. I don't have a Neoga student, but our job coach was in Neoga and talking to somebody from Dollar General, and they said, "Hey, we would happily provide a position for somebody if it were ever appropriate." We don't have anybody right now, but just knowing that I have that option for a Neoga student is huge. And so we would love to extend our network of employers for all of our surrounding communities. So please feel free to reach out to me. Let me know you're interested. I can have one-on-one meetings. Me or our job coach can come to you and walk through the store. We're happy to do something called job carving, where we come in and look at everything that you have and say, you know what, this would be an amazing job for a person with a disability. Would that work for you? Because sometimes there's something that is taking a lot of time for the employees to accomplish when they've got other things they can do. And actually, I can send a student to come and do that one thing, and they would so gladly do it for a couple of hours, get it done for everybody else, and it was the perfect job for them. And so it's a win-win. And so, yes, I'm happy to come to your business and do some job carving, walk through and see what we would be appropriate for us, talk about hours, and whatever information you want. I would really like that.
Now, I have a little bit of a transition background. I will one day be Kim and be a transition specialist. That is my goal through completing my college degree. But I really believe that customized employment or job carving is the way to solve the employment crisis that we are in right now. It is a very untapped portion of resources that we as a society are not we're not looking through, the glass that we're working through is a little fogged. And I think this is a really, everywhere that you see, I'm hiring, I need help, I can't support that because I don't have the staff. And I really think this is a way to a step in that direction.
Absolutely. I really hope that that word can get out there that there's another way, and there's a whole group of untapped potentials out there with these people with disabilities, not just these students, but all people with disabilities that could be filling these needs. We just have to rethink the way we structure what our employees do, and we could absolutely be solving a lot of this employment crisis that we have.
So Kim, is this on track program only offered to students within the special E.I.S.E Cooperative?
So far, yes. If you're outside the E.I.S.E Cooperative, what I've been told, because I did have some inquiries, but the inquiries I've had so far were really far, like it really wasn't feasible. Um, I have been told to just send you to our director, Tony Reilly, for that conversation. So I'm not going to say yes or no because it hasn't happened yet. So I don't really know how it will work out. But if, obviously transportation wouldn't be provided because there's no obligation on your district to transport you this far. But if there's a way to work it out, there may be a way to work it out. So I just direct you to our director to have those conversations.
And it really wouldn't be a bad idea if you are a parent that has a student that thinks may fit this type of program but don't live near East Central Illinois. Yeah, East Central Illinois. Then you talk to your special education cooperative. Maybe they offer a program that's similar. Maybe there's a way to customize your students' life after academically ready to move on from high school, that you could do something similar like this. So, as Kim stated, all students have that right to attend school until their 22nd birthday school year ends. I don't know how to explain it. It's very complicated, but um, so talk about what could be customizable for your student. No, not all students have to. Not all students need to. But it's all about building those soft skills so they're work ready, building those soft skills so they're college or trade school ready.
Yep, absolutely. And the trend of these improved transition programs for this population is increasing. So if you don't live in the area, there may be something like this that you just haven't heard about that's also developing somewhere else because we're not the first to have this. We did model it after a program in Chicago that we saw. But I know that other areas are trying to improve what they offer as well. So you never know. It could be that they just haven't gotten the word out very well and there's something closer to you, similar.
Well, Kim, I wanted to thank you big time, first of all, to let me meet your on track students last week because I had the best time of my life. Transition is my personal, like, it's my happy place. So I was so excited. I actually knew of quite a few of your students. They had taken some advocacy training with Family Matters. That's something we're hoping to bring to the On Track program as well. So we do a lot of student led IEP training. And so, yeah, we're excited and social skills as well to move towards working with Kim in that area. But it was great. It was great to see the kids last week at the resource fair. They're all very proud of their involvement with On Track. And Kim, this was like literally a dream project of mine when I first came into this role at Family Matters to help our students just get that little more that they need. Not everybody fits into the category of sheltered workshop.
Right.
Not everybody fits into the category of then, okay, let's go to college or let's go to work. And so this really incorporates, especially our students with OHI or specific learning disabilities. A student like me, I didn't fit in that bubble, but I still needed that extra help. So I think this is going to be wonderful. I'm personally hoping, and it's been an IEP discussion with my own daughter to maybe possibly be part of the On Track. So we'll be inviting Kim to her IEP meeting in the spring to talk about that as a possibility. So I think doing this podcast today is going to help parents and students realize, okay, I didn't think I was capable of college because I needed help finding my classes. So these are ways that we can, this type of program are ways to show students that we're still here to support you and we want to see you succeed.
Absolutely. Yep. And so Abby got to see my students at the Resource Expo, the Coles County Resource Expo, and that's another thing we try to do is we get them out to these kind of things as much as possible. We are only in the building half the day every day, so we are out doing different things, whether it be work or community outings, going out to eat, going grocery shopping, going to resource expos. We have the construction trades in October that we're going to that expo. Anything and everything that is resource related in our community, we will have the students there. And that's a beautiful thing about this program is we don't have to worry about credits. Like I don't have to worry about my student getting to math class on time. I can choose to take this day to make sure that they can navigate Lakeland or whatever it may be. So we have a lot of flexibility with scheduling and making sure the students are just out in the community talking to people, because like at the resource expo, they had to go from table to table and talk to all these different agencies about what they offer. And that's a huge skill of being able to say, hi, my name is, or hi, what do you do? Those kind of things. So little things that sometimes we take for granted as being a skill, they really are skills. And so we are out of this building more than we're in it, trying to develop those social skills.
And I noticed your students, although some adults that came by my table were struggling with that social interaction, and these are adults that I would presume not have a disability. They're professionals in the human service fields, you know, and we were all networking together. Your students were well practiced. They came up to my table, they introduced themselves, and then of course they'd be like, "I know you. You came to my class," you know, and we'd talk about what services my organization offered and how they could help them. And I watched them do that repeatedly to other tables. So they were learning those social skills, they were building, and then they were learning about community resources they may be eligible for. So like Dial a Ride was there. The Epilepsy Support Network was there. I saw a student speak with them for a long time. The local chiropractor office was there, and the kids were getting like evaluations for adjustments. And, you know, so this is just a way that they were learning more about independency as they, you know, become older students. So
Mhm. I was very proud of them. They did very good that
you're
day.
wonderful.
Because we
Wonderful.
haven't been in school that long, so I was like, "Oh boy, how we
You
they
did
did so
great.
good. They're definitely proving that, their instruction is helping, and we're making big strides very quickly.
Absolutely. Well, Kim, your contact information is here on the screen. I will also have it listed in the text along with our podcast. Our podcast does air on every podcast platform that you can think of. And we also do YouTube music, which shows the video. So they'll be able to see your slides and everything. So we're so excited that you were able to join us today. I can't wait to continue to work with On TRACC. I just think this is beyond needed and amazing. And anybody that will stop and listen to me talk in Walmart, I tell them about On TRACC because I think it's just a great way to step forward in the future for our students to continue to make it help them be successful.
And I do want to put a little plug in for our Project Life. I won't dive too much in the details yet because we launched that next year. But we do have another program. If you feel like everything I just talked about is just a little too far ahead of where your child is, um, then there is another option. If you are living in the EZ co-op area, we do have another program that we can also discuss for the future that is it's more so it's similar but more supported, more job coaches, more supported employment, a little bit more with the daily living skills side of things. So please don't dismay. There is other options too. If you feel like this is just a little more advanced than what your child needs, we can also discuss what would be appropriate for them.
That's amazing. And I did want to point out, I've seen there's a lot of networking that goes on. You share information with your students, and I'm assuming you help them get them connected with resources like TRIO, Student Services at Lakeland, or the DRS program, or SNAP benefits, all of the things. So I think it's a great way, a great path forward for our students. And again, thank you so much, Kim. I've kept you longer than I promised because I knew I would because I can't shut up
Oh
about the
no, it's
program.
fine.
So I knew it. I knew I would. So but thank you, everybody, for joining us on our podcast today. And thank you, Kim. It's so valued that you're here with us today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, we're good to go.
Okie dokie.
Okay, now this does not launch until October 1st. So, because you're our
Okay.
October, but I will send you a copy of this video for your purposes. So I will also be putting this on our website as one of our many presentations that we did too. So since I have the ability to show the screen. So, but yeah, I hope you don't get flooded with calls now. Not that I
Oh,
don't,
no. My
not that I
boss
don't
said
tell
that if
enough
I
of people.
do,
Yeah.
she's like, if you because I've already had a few, and
Uh-huh.
she's like, if you start getting a lot, just send them her way and she'll take care of it. So
Good deal.
she'll,
Good
she'll
deal.
take over from there because I was like,
That's
hey,
wonderful.
I got to teach.
Yeah.
So my
Yes.
contact's on everything, but then she's
Yes.
like, just forward them on to her, and Lisa Blummer will take care of it.
I
So
mean, I just love you guys there. I always tell Megan, if I ever leave here, you know where you're going to find me at, right? Because it's just, I don't know, it's just so wonderful, and oh, I just love it so much. So, yes.
we're having a good time. We're having a good year. Yesterday was the green and gold day for Matt Toon,
Okay. Yes.
and we wanted to join them because we're in the lift building. So we're like,
Yeah.
we may as well. So we went to the Coles County Health Department and
Uh-huh.
we did all kinds of filing and shredding. Like they had all
Yes.
these old things
Uh-huh.
that needed to be sorted through. So we had all eight, well, one was missing. So we had 8 students on this big assembly line, and they were taking
Mhm.
apart all these documents and taking the rubber bands and shredding them, and they got so much done, and it was like the coolest thing. The people at the health department were like, just they were so excited because we probably accomplished 3 days worth of work for them
Mhm.
in a couple of hours.
But that's
So
a
it's
task. That's a carved employment there.
yeah,
That's what I just took through some company, I can't even remember, Mark and Gold Associates. I did the customized employment training that they did. So we did that for 6 weeks. It was amazing just to rethink about jobs or rethink about tasks associated with and how much our students, if we don't focus on the job title, what they could accomplish in a work setting.
yeah,
And yeah, it was amazing. So and then now we're working on charting the life course. So our entire curriculum that we teach from now on will be charting the life course centered. So we're super excited about that too. So
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and I hope we get some employers out of this because we need them.
Well, I
So
was I was thinking, like, and I don't know, like GPI in Shelbyville is constantly needing, like they're constantly bringing in, and employees from out of state and housing them because they need, and if we could get someone from GPI to just look and say, okay, I need someone to put cups in a box, and like if we change a student, I mean that's what someone at that factory does, and I don't know, I think it would be great to. A lot of employers are getting away from temp agencies because they're so expensive, and the student and the workers don't last. But this is someone that's been trained or certified to do this to move into. So my mom works for the Department of Corrections in Decatur. She works in the vocational department, and they've launched this new certification program for warehouse. So by the time you leave custody, you have your forklift operator's license, all these things. And Caterpillar is literally bugging her of when people are going to be getting out of prison to come and work for them. So like that's
wow,
yeah. So
that's
that's just
cool though. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
that'll change a life.
Yes,
So
absolutely. So
yeah.
yeah, hopefully this will move in that direction. I'm excited to see. So
Well, with the 200 in businesses, it feels like coming to town, we're going to need them to start looking outside the box, or they won't have any
mhm.
employees.
Exactly.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hopefully, I mean, I have heard some advocates that we have employed, I've heard have worked for Chick-fil-A before. So I feel like that's a disability friendly employer. I'm surprised with Dollar General. Usually they're pretty black and white what they want for an employee. So I'm surprised there, but
it
yeah.
depends. They do have a little bit higher
Mhm.
expectations.
Yes.
So, we are a little, it might depend on the person, the
Sure.
student
Yes.
in that case. But I heard Michael's is really, they're not
Mhm.
fully built yet, but I heard that they were really
Disability, yeah, disability
disability
friendly.
friendly. Were you the one
Mhm.
who told me that?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah.
because
Yep.
that's one of my stops. That's one of my things. I gotta go talk to them because I have a student who's so interested in it. So
Well, I
that's
mean, I think
yeah,
that's perfect. And, again, to just really look outside the box, like Kira's obsessed with being a vet tech. She's obsessed with working with animals, is what it is. So, but to call a vet's office and say, can she come in and job shadow? Well, what would she do here? Like to just get past that. Well, I don't know. What do you need done? Let's talk
yeah,
about that instead. So yeah, we're super excited, and our special education coordinator in Shelbyville is like all for it. She's gung ho. She can't wait for me to get this posted. She messaged me twice yesterday, so so she can't wait. And it's just helping students to understand. A lot of them are like, well, I'm done with school. I'm graduated. I don't want to do anything else. Well, this is a way to learn about a job or learn. I think it's wonderful. So
yeah.
can't say it enough. All right, we will see you soon. I will message you this weekend
Okay.
or sometime about the 25th. I don't think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
problem. So, all
Yeah,
right.
I'm not too worried about it. If it has to be
Okay.
a different day, we'll make it work. We're pretty flexible.
All
So,
right. Thanks again so much for coming today.
no problem. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya.